Recent news around the NBA is suggesting that Golden State is positioned to get not one, but two of the top free agents on the market this offseason. We're going to cover that here today in this video and what they can provide to this team, mostly centered around Melton, of course, as he's the most recent guy. We've been talking about Horford for what feels like an eternity at this point, and that's mostly been a foregone conclusion. But yes, it does look like Golden State will be positioned well to get DeAnthony Melton, and we're going to elaborate in today's video. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and subscribe here to the Basketball Bulletin, where Trevor Lane and I keep you guys informed and locked in with all the news and rumors around the NBA as it comes out. Let me know in the comment section down below how you feel about this as well. And if you're a Lakers fan, don't worry, this is a safe space. You let it out, because he was somebody that, the funny thing about Melton was that he was linked to the Lakers heavily for quite a while, and now it seems like he's not. It seems like he's maybe positioned to go again to Golden State, and also for the second time with that. But also, it seems like the Lakers are in a weird spot because they don't really have options right now. They need to make like a consolidation trade. They need to clear up space and the ability to use the full biannual, like all this other stuff that's kind of going on. So if you're a fan of that, that's the only reason I'm bringing it up, is because, again, he had been largely linked to the Lakers up to this point. But the Warriors have emerged as a strong contender to bring back DeAnthony Melton in free agency, league sources tell the Stein line, in addition to Golden State's well-chronicled interest in signing Al Horford. Mark Stein, great NBA reporter. If you're not following him or his Substack, make sure you're doing so, because he does a great job, him and Jake Fisher. But he had actually a couple of days ago, he said, and I quote, that Horford was destined to be a Golden State Warrior. It's like, I don't know what's holding it up. Maybe it's the Kuminga trade. There was some reports. We did a video on it that there was like a potential 3-team trade in the works between them, Sacramento, and Detroit, I believe, were the 3 teams. And I didn't really love the reported return for Golden State, but at the same time, it is what it is if that wound up being what happened. But nonetheless, I don't know if that's what's holding it up, or if the Beal thing is holding up everything, even though it seems like a foregone conclusion that he is going to make his way to LA for the Clippers. Maybe there's something else we don't know about that could potentially be holding up the market, but these guys really don't have a lot of reason to still be free agents right now. You would typically see these guys, or like a Chris Paul or something like that, have a destination by now, but it's really only like a week into free agency. It feels like it's been longer. Maybe that's just me, though. But anyway, Al Horford, I think, would fit amazingly in Golden State. He would be really nice. There's some reporting that they want to have Draymond be more of a power forward throughout the season to not really accumulate too much wear and tear. And I think Al would fit perfectly, and also give them another element of looks. Like, they can put, if they really want to go uber big and keep their spacing intact, they can go Al and post, and that would be a really big lineup, especially for what the Warriors typically trot out there. And they could not really lose much. Al's a good ball mover, passer, solid defender, can switch a bit. Like, he's a nice player, man. The funny thing about Al is that he's getting up there in age, approaching 40 if he's not already. I got to go back and check, but he still looks like the same guy. Like, he still looks, he's lost his step, sure, but his game has changed, and he spaces much better to where it's not really been detrimental to him so much, but he still looks like mostly the same guy as I remember seeing. But on the topic for Melton, Golden State made Melton's last summer's only recipient of the full mid-level exception, only to lose him to season-ending injury after 6 games and then deal for Dennis Schroeder. Brad Stevens, meanwhile, acknowledged today that Boston expects to lose Horford in free agency. On the Horford thing, he's gone. He's expected to be gone. He's not going to be retaining in Boston. There's some murmurs about him going over to Denver, right? But it seems like with the reporting around Denver, they're going to keep Valanciunas, in fact, denying his ability to leave, and keep Valanciunas. So they don't really, not to say they don't need him, but there's not really space in the rotation for Horford over there. And so if it's not LA, that was the only other team he really got linked to aside from retiring. It's either retiring or Golden State at this point if you're Al Horford. So it's just, once again, it kind of is what it is. But on the Melton piece, yeah, he was signed there last year. And if you didn't keep up with that, because it was very, very short-lived, literally a handful of games, he was actually really good. Right now, Melton is a guy who has dealt with injuries throughout his career, but especially over the last couple of seasons, playing literally only 6 games last year. I saw some people quibbling about the fact that they traded him and him wanting to go back there. He understands it was, I assume anyway, I'm not him, but I assume he understands it was just a business move. Like, he was out for the rest of the season. He had a decent sized salary. They turned that into Schroeder, which he didn't really fit what they do there. So there's that. But they turned Truder into more, and it works out better in the end for them ultimately. But he was really good for them at the start of the season in those 6 games, shot 37% from 3 on 6 attempts per game. Also, aside from being a solid defensive player, actually a really good defensive player, I will say, solid rebounder, defensive playmaker for his size, all these things. He averaged 10 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists for them in 20 minutes per game in those 6 games. And when he was out there, I wanted to kind of show this as well. The diff for him was +9. So he was a +9 out there. And their defense was amazing with him on the court in Golden State for those 6 games last year. And their offense was really, really good too. And I wanted to extend this out to kind of take a look at the lineup data for him. So their most used lineup with DeAnthony, Melton last year was with Kuminga, Green, Wiggins, and Steph. They slotted DeAnthony at the 2 guard, and they were +73. Okay. Samples are incredibly small because he played 6 games. 37 samples of that lineup, right? So it's not like there was a ton of sample size or anything like that. There wasn't a lot of opportunity for him. But basically, the gist of it is any other lineup that they put out there, for the most part, had a really big positive with Melton on the court. Like, he's just one of those guys that you can slot in as your 5th guy, and he's not going to command the ball too much. He can be a solid secondary guy. He's going to sit in the corner. He's going to make some athletic defensive plays for you, maybe cut here and there. Not the strongest finisher, but a really good ball mover and a guy you can plug in, like I was saying, as your last guy in a rotation, and he's not going to ruin it for you. Like, he's not going to be a detriment. He's going to play great defense. He's going to do what he does. And that type of guy is somebody that I think a lot of teams should look to employ, right? It's very reminiscent of a guy like a KCP or a Caruso, a better defensive player in Caruso, albeit, but it's like that type of player. And I don't think that there's enough of those in the league, like guys that are just great role players. And I think that's what DeAnthony is. Now, Golden State has some questions. Like, what are they going to do with guys like GP2? I haven't been staying completely in tune with that reporting around him. I don't know if it's a foregone conclusion that he's gone at this point, what happens with him ultimately. But I kind of like just getting Melton back in there, because even if it's like a swap per se of like getting rid of one of them and then bringing in Melton, they're getting younger. They're getting a little bit more athletic, a little bit speedier, a little bit better shooting as well, or in that case, a lot better shooting, because GP doesn't really give you too much on that. So I do like the addition of Melton. But again, I would like Melton on mostly any team. I would actually really like Melton on a team like Detroit. That would be really fun. The thing about Melton, too, that I kind of saw was he is an absolute winner, dude. Any year that he's been available to play, for the most part, he's greatly impacted the lineups he's been on. I mean, look at the Philly stint from 23-24. He only played, I think, 30-something games that year. But look at this. 467 possessions, not the craziest sample, obviously, but they were in the 98th percentile for diff, plus 33. Him, Harris, Batum, Embiid, and Maxey, right? He just slots in as a 2 guard and plays like a smaller wing on these teams and kind of get things done for you. Go back another year, and I think they were plus 8 diff for him out there. And just fits perfectly. Yeah, or plus 2 overall that season. Not as crazy. This was, I believe, a full season. But still, 1,000 possessions. PJ Tucker, Embiid, Harris, Melton, and James Harden, the Harden year, they were plus 7, right? So, like, he's somebody I think that, again, for the 5th time, most teams should be targeting. And if Golden State winds up getting him, that's the type of move, assuming he's healthy, right? He suffered an injury literally for Golden State last year, but assuming he's healthy, that with a guy like Horford, who knows what they get back? Who knows when they get back in the Kuminga thing? I laugh because I'm thinking about it now. Golden State hasn't done anything, right? They're like the only team that's done nothing, right? And then improved play, chemistry, all that stuff from the other guys on the team. I think Golden State could be a really good team. We're starting to see a separation in the Western Conference as well. We know what the Thunder are and what they're projected to be next year. I thought Houston really, really separated themselves from the pack, because the rest of the competitive Western Conference was mostly like a glut of teams. I thought Houston did enough to separate themselves from the pack. I'll tell you, if the Clippers pick up Bradley Beal while adding in Brook Lopez, John Collins, I would say that I think that they probably, unless the Clippers clip, sometimes that happens. Shout out to them, though. I love their offseason. I really do. I would say that they probably are putting themselves in a position to separate themselves from the pack as well, and kind of create a second tier with them in Houston. Although I'd argue Houston's probably just a bit better. But I think Golden State, if they get Melton and Horford, they make a strong case to get moved into that tier as well among the Western teams, because I just think that these are two guys that just would fit so great in what Golden State plans to do. So ultimately, though, we'll see what happens with these guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And if you haven't seen Trevor's video from earlier today, make sure you check it out. It's on the screen right now.